Aloha and welcome. Thank you for watching Tea with Kafi. I'm your host, Kafi Tanae. Today I am drinking hibiscus tea. It's sweet and it's tangy, much like the guest that I have today. Very sweet, very tangy. He's a world-renowned Tantra educator, Mr. Paul Lito McCurdy. He's going to take us to Tantra school today. So please help me welcome Paul McCurdy to the show.
Aloha. Nice to see you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So Paul, what are you drinking on Tea with Coffee? What kind of drink is this?
It's actually diluted. I hate to admit, it's a little cinnamon based. I think it's called throat coat, but it's pretty diluted.
I like the throat coat. Actually, that's like a tea for singers.
No, hopefully it keeps my voice clear.
Okay, good. So, I just want to get right into it here. I've had some Tantra experiences. I've had a yoni massage in Bali, and I was in a relationship with a guy for years that was a long time teacher of Tantra. So in some of my conversations when I'm talking to people, just like, on the vanilla circuit, and I say something about Tantra, it's like, oh, what is that? Is it sex? And so typically my answer is always like, oh, you should Google it. But I want to ask you, as an educator, you might be able to give a better explanation than I can. What is Tantra, Paul? Is it sex?
No, boy, that answer can take so many different forms because it's different for everybody. You can go back to the historical roots of Tantra and with the Vedics in India and in China and come up with a very, what's the right word, almost religious practice of meditation, breath work, the yoga asanas, to what we refer to as neo-tantra, which is more the contemporary version, which integrates the spiritual, sacred sexuality component and integrates with those same historical practices. So it's what you make of it. I think for me, my definition is to always try and find a way to walk through the world from a place of love.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's what inspired you on your path to Tantra? As I was reading your bio, it says you started in 2004. What was your inspiration to take this path?
Well, that was after 20 years of marriage or partnership, or more, actually, 23 years. And both she and I were saying, wow, 20 years here. Are we going to just do the same thing again for another 20? I don't think so. We got to do something different here. We got to find some way to make a shift. So that's when we started, looking into, courses and at that time it was, I think, CDs or DVDs or recordings or whatever. There wasn't an abundance of online material. And so in books, there were many really good pieces of literature out there that can help guide you and exercises. So that's where we started. But it was really more of a thing of, here we are in a long-term relationship, and we wanted to keep it fresh.
And from there, you became an educator, and all of these other things happened. Tell us about that.
Okay, yeah. So it was after, I don't know, maybe 10 years of, just kind of just a practice with a partner that we could feel the benefits of how it worked for our relationship, and I wanted to take it out and explore more. And so I started taking coursework um, to teach and become an educator. And that just kept expanding and growing into many other elements and components of uh, related work, trauma-based work, human energetic work, uh, and all sorts of other modalities that complement and overlay the fundamental tantra work.
Okay, cool. And then I have some questions that were asked of me by some of the viewers. One of them is in terms of the communication in your relationship. How are you achieving high levels of communication through Tantra?
My experience that Tantra opens up a dialogue and allows conversations to occur that would normally be considered perhaps even shameful or, we can't talk about that kind of sex or this kind of desire or whatever it is. It opens up the avenues to be non-judgmental, to have complete acceptance, so that you can express more deep desires and fears and open those channels of communication without shame. And it just gives you a platform to do that with. And I find that really works well in a group setting. When you have a class and you have a group and you witness someone else share something that you go, oh my God, I can't believe they said that, But then you realize it was received without any shaming, without any judgment, with compassion. And it's like, oh, well, I guess I can do that too. Because you have that opportunity to do that without any consequence. And I find people do that and they start digging deeper into their own well, and those little gold nuggets pop out, and boom, all of a sudden you start to expand and grow.
That's beautiful. And then another question that I have for you, as a single person, how am I practicing self-care through Tantra? What are some of the things that I can do to practice as a single person?
Well, I think the fundamentals of Tantra, the meditation and breath work and the asanas are a great place to start. Those are the traditional modalities of Tantra practice. And then if you want to integrate your own self-pleasuring practice with those, that's a wonderful place to start. And ritualize it so that you really create a space for yourself and take your time and make it an experience for yourself.
So are there any resources for Tantra practices in terms of actual touch? What would you suggest would be a resource for me as a single person, but a couple as well? For them to be able to touch each other in a tantric way. Are there any resources for people out here?
No, of course. Plethora of YouTube channel videos you can watch on the topic these days. Source School is one of them. And I'm sure the Ecstatic Living Institute is another one.
Okay.
That's Margot Anand's school. I think for literature, I really like Margot Anand's book, The Art of Sexual Ecstasy. It actually has many practices in there for individuals and couples, and they're really well described and even drawn. So they have pictures and drawings of how to. And those are really nice exercises that people can do, and they can do it with a partner. They can sit down with the book and go, hey, let's do this. And it's really playful, and it can be fun if they approach it from that perspective. And singles can do it for themselves as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You had an event going on before the whole COVID-19, quarantine situation. Okay, the Sacred Life Skills event.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell us about that event? Of course, we had this conversation where I wanted to do something similar for people here on Maui. But yeah, tell us about this Sacred Life Skills class.
Well, for this class, it's a new format. It's one day a month. So it'll be on a Saturday all day, once a month for about a year. And that's a real departure from the traditional, Friday afternoon, evening to Sunday evening weekend event. Uh, it's my experience in all the workshops that I go to and also that I facilitated that people arrive to these events without a real fundamental set of skills that I feel are really necessary in order to get to the juice, to the good fun stuff, safely. They can get there, but I see a lot of people blow up when that happens because they don't have the preparation and the skill set to get there and really be able to manage themselves and others when they get to the more energetic practices. And so this class is designed to give people, the participants in the class, all those necessary skills and make sure that they have them so that when we get to the sacred sexual massage and the sacred spot massages for men and women and these type of things and the yoni massages, that people can really be comfortable either as a giver or as a receiver and know that their energetics are going to be managed and they can take care of themselves and perhaps the other person in a more professional, caring, loving manner, both themselves and the other person. So it's a combination of a lot of things that I've learned over many, many years of the dynamics of masculine and feminine, and this fundamental human energetics of how our bodies are put together and our polarities of ourselves, and our own internal masculine and feminine. Consent, big piece on consent, using Betty Martin's Wheel of Consent. I studied with her. And so a lot of these components that will help people really have a good experience towards the end of the workshop.
Right, great. And then I also read a piece about you doing some men's group that's focused around masculine empowerment. Can you tell us about those groups?
I believe the group you're referring to is the Mankind Project.
Uh-huh.
And I've been working with that organization for about 5 years now, 6 years. And it's a educational and group for men to really have the experience of a coming of age. And because, in our culture, in American culture, there are no consistent rituals for men, or any teenager, men or women, coming of age. And stepping into manhood or womanhood from adolescence or teenage. It just doesn't happen. And so many of our, we witnessed the misogyny and the patriarchy and all that stuff. It's probably doesn't serve everyone as well as it could. Being a man, if you're going to be living in those types of paradigms. So this organization is designed to help men understand that we don't have to compete and we don't have to beat each other down, that we can cooperate and we can love each other, and no matter whether you're straight, gay, trans, whatever, it doesn't matter. We're here as men to serve, find purpose, and help everyone. And that's what a man wants to do. A man's job is to provide and protect and be of service. That's really deep down core in our genetics, I think. And that's what it's about.
Cool. So, as we're here in this quarantine isolation state, which is probably to me almost detrimental to where we were before. So we as a people, as a nation, we already have a hard time communicating with each other with love. You know what I mean? And then as technology becomes a bigger thing, then it tends to isolate us even more. And so now we're doing something that is actually called social distancing. Okay. And so here we are. Now we got a name for it. While we're here with each other, in these confined spaces, a lot of couples, I know right now, domestic violence is on the rise. What are some of the things we can do as couples to remind ourselves of the love while we're spending all of this time together?
I think one of the most important things you can do is to bring two bodies together. Doesn't matter how you do it. If you just let your bodies do the work, they will do it. So you can, the typical position is, the spooning, from someone in front, someone from behind, and you just let your bodies relax into each other. Control your breath, breathe either together or breathe opposite of each other. Synchronized or alternating. So when you exhale, I exhale. And we do it that way. Or we both inhale together and exhale together. And just that, no talking, no nothing, just be present and let your bodies connect. And it's amazing what your body will do naturally with your heart rhythms, the endocrinology, everything will just kind of go to a homeostatic state and peace will reign. You have to let it happen.
That's awesome. What do you think is the best time to do that? Would it be in the morning before you wake up and start your day, or at night as you close the day, or all day?
Yeah. All of the above. Whenever there's conflict, I mean, if they say you mentioned domestic violence is rising, well, before you get to that point, when you feel the tension rising, just say, take a break, let's go lay down on the couch, on the floor, on the bed, whatever, and just connect. Say nothing. And just see what happens. And I bet 90% of the time, the problem washes away. Because the road probably wasn't much of a problem. Probably dirty dishes or some clothes or something stupid, right? And we're letting these things get to us. There's also, the energetic practices I mentioned in the life skills class. We call them the basics. There are 4 components to those practices, and it's when you lose those basics is when things go wrong. This kind of practice of getting bodies to it helps you bring yourself back to those things.
Uh-huh. Without having to use the words, because I know the words a lot of times is what messes everything up.
Well, there's an author, Jamie Sams, who says the words we use to label our emotions transforms, and emotions are energy, emotion, right? Mm-hmm. It transforms the energy, becoming the embodiment of our judgments. So we put labels on things, and then we judge those labels. And man, that's where the problems go on. Mm-hmm. Rather than just letting the energy flow through you, like if you lay down with somebody, don't talk, and just let the energy flow. Whether you feel sad or mad or happy, whatever, just let the energy flow and we'll all be good. start. Oh boy,
Yeah.
look out!
That's right. That's beautiful. Actually, I'm really hoping that somebody that's listening today can really just take that in, because it's a beautiful thing to do, and it's so easy to do. Way easier than talking.
Well, not all the time, because it can be vulnerable for people to get in that close proximity. You know, if you're having a bit of a beef with somebody, you want me to hug you right now? That takes some courage to say, let's do it this way instead. Maybe the pattern is for the talk, and that's familiar, and that's what they're accustomed to. And it's breaking that pattern and trying something different. And no talk. Amazing what happens.
Yes, I agree. So, we have a question from a viewer. They said, we mentioned yoni massage. What exactly is a yoni massage?
So, first off, let's make sure we understand what the word yoni means. And when we're talking about yoni massage, we're talking about vulva. We're talking about the entire female genitalia. Not any one particular part, but the whole thing. And I think one of the actual yoni means sacred space, and the vagina, the actual canal. But we're making it in a broader sense that yoni massage is the entire, all the components, everything involved. What's that massage? That massage is an honoring of those parts with no goal, with no objective. There's no orgasm necessary. There's no penetration necessary. But it's to take the parts and massage them literally in a gentle, loving manner. And how often has that ever been done? I mean, how often do you have someone just massage your parts? And I mean, massage the parts, all the parts. Open it like a flower, massage the petals and all the different parts. And it's just lovely. And it's ritualized, and so that's the detail of that part of it. But there'd be a whole ritual. The whole process would take an hour and a half. And again, there's the vulnerability of someone receiving for an hour and a half. I find that's more challenging than giving. You have to relax, be vulnerable, be receptive, trusting, and open to whatever the experience is that's going to arise. And it can bring up all kinds of emotions, all sorts of things. And that's where the giver has to be prepared with their energetics to be able to manage how their interaction goes, and to be able to comfort that person if they do have some emotions without judgment, without fixing, without any goal orientation, just compassion and acceptance for whatever arises. About it.
Okay. And, of course, we have this question next. Is there a massage like that for men?
Of course. And it's, you can, ma'am is the Hindu word for male genitalia, and it means a wand of light, which is a quite lovely word compared to some of the vernacular that our culture labels men's genitalia. Not so gracious, and and you can have the same process for the men. And there's no erection required, no orgasm required. It's just an honoring and a massage. And things happen. That's okay too. But it's not an objective. And it's the same thing for for a man to just relax and allow himself to be that receptive, that can be very challenging. It's very difficult. Most men like to be in control. They're used to being boss at work or something, and for them to surrender to be that receptive can be quite a challenge.
I can see that. Those sound like beautiful experiences on both sides of the spectrums. Just the whole idea that, about honoring the body, that whole idea, giving and receiving, being honored and honoring, is something I think that a lot of couples don't really get an opportunity to practice with each other enough, that especially women, I think as a woman, we have so many hang-ups about our sexuality. And a lot of times we go along in life not really connected to what it is that we want, sexually. And so when you talk about communicating effectively in a relationship, especially around the sexual part, it's like if you don't really know what it is that you're wanting, because we haven't had the opportunity to really just connect with ourselves, it's always been like we're giving something, as opposed to receiving something. So in my mind, I've had some experiences where it has tapped me into my feminine energy, and Tantra being one of them, where I'm like, okay, this is helping me to understand myself and my body and what it is that, I want. That kind of communication, too, is, and especially when in terms of couples, it's like, how do you really get down to the root of that conversation with your spouse, especially if you're at the point where you already at the itching part, the 7-year itch part, you already there, you've been like getting away with this for all of these years, what kind of conversations do we have to say, okay, this is boring, this is whatever it is, it's not helping, it's not working, it's not keeping the juices flowing, we're getting dried up. How did we enter in this conversation to say, what do we do different? And this is brand new in a lot of couples relationships, because nobody ever 7 years go by plus some more never knew how to touch her. So now I'm gonna say, you never knew how to touch me all these years, and I never knew how to tell you that. So how do we open this conversation too to where she's being received, with the listening ear? Like, okay, I'm listening. What is it? What is it that you want? I'm really listening because I want to know, how are couples that have been together for a while, where is this conversation, how they're entering into this?
Right. Well, I think, and maybe you can confirm this for me also, I would guess that most couples, when they start becoming intimate just in their bedroom at night or during the day, whatever, they start jointly doing something, kissing, touching. They're doing it to each other simultaneously. It takes two to kiss. That's typically where it starts. This process of yoni massage and leg massage is separating giving and receiving. And that's a real big shift for a lot of people, because it doesn't become an instantaneous co-creation of pleasure for both. Because how do you know who's doing what and when if that's what's happening? Who's doing the giving and the receiving if we're all just kind of hands and everything's happening all at the same time? So one way to do that is to do what's called, and you can ease into this, just using body work and massage. And you can do this for any body part too. Specific is use what we call a bossy massage, which is where the person receiving gets to direct the giver. And then it becomes the receiver's objective to get exactly what they want. But like you said, they have to know what they want. And that can be a challenge for a lot of people to know, what do I really like? How do I want to be touched? Versus how does he normally touch me? How does she normally do these things? And that gives you the permission then to direct your partner to a completely different place that maybe they would never get to, because it's a co-creation and it just happens kind of in the same old way we've always been doing. And
Right.
now you get a way to deviate and go to someplace new.
Mhm.
So that's one way to try something different.
Well, it's always a good idea to try something different, whatever it is.
Right.
But I do want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I think this was very informative for a lot of people who had that question: what is Tantra? Is it sex? I'm hoping that we answer some of those questions for them. And I would like to continue this conversation at some point, because I think that there are a lot of things that we could talk about in this subject. Um,
Sure.
so let's bring us back with more conversation on the subject.
Sounds like.
All right. So thank you again for coming in, and until next time, aloha.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.